In this video, we are going to go over how to solve equations with rational exponents. So let's go over our first example. So we are going to be solving today x to the third equals 27. Okay, so now if I want to solve something with a power, in order to get rid of the power or the exponent of 3, I'm going to take the cube root of both sides. And the cube root of 27 is 3. So my solution for number 1 is 3. Similarly, if I wanted to solve something like x to the fourth equals 16, I would take the fourth root of both sides, and I would get x equals 2. So if I type in the fourth root of 16 in my calculator, I would get 2. But anytime we have an even root, so a square root, a fourth root, we're always going to get plus or minus our solutions. And the reason for this is because I can do 2 to the fourth power, and that would give me 16, but also negative 2 to the fourth power would give me 16. Okay, that would not be true for an odd power like in number 1. 3 to the third power would be 27. Negative 3 to the third power would actually give me negative 27. So that's why we do not have plus or minus for odd functions, only for even functions. So this is going to lead us into when we do something with rational exponents. So we are going to solve x to the 3/2 equals 27. Now in this case, since I have a rational exponent, I'm not going to turn that directly into a root. I'm going to use the reciprocal power. So if I have 3/2, my reciprocal will be 2/3. So I'm going to raise 27 to the 2/3 power. On this side, if I did 3 times 2 and 2 times 2, I end up with 6 over 6, which is just 1. And x to the 1 is just x. Now 27 to the 2/3 power. Well, I can take that in my calculator, but I also know that the 2/3 power is the same as the cubed root of 27 squared. Well, the cubed root of 27 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. So my final answer would be x equals 9. We can follow the same idea for doing x to the 4/3 power equals 256. I'm going to raise both sides to the reciprocal power, so 3/4, 3/4. So again, I would get 12 over 12, which means I have x to the first, which is just x. And I have the fourth root of 256 to the third power. So in my calculator, if I type in the fourth root of 256, I'm going to get 4. And 4 to the third power is 64. But again, I have an even root here. Even root, so I'm going to get plus or minus as part of my solution. So positive and negative 64. So again, anytime we have an even root, we're always going to have positive or negative solutions. So in this case, anytime your denominator is even, that is when you're going to have an even root, and that is when you're going to have plus or minus in your answer. Okay, now we've looked at the basics of fractional exponents. Let's do a couple that involve a few more steps. So we're going to solve 4x to the 5/2 plus 10 equals 138. So our goal is, just like with all solving, is we want to get the part with the x alone. So to get the part with the x alone, I'm going to always add or subtract first. In this case, I'm subtracting. Then we're going to divide by the 4. And then just like we did above, now I want to get rid of this power, so I'm going to raise it to the reciprocal power. So this is the fifth root of 32 squared. Well, the fifth root of 32 is 2, and 2 squared would be 4. I'm going to move that up a little so we have a little more room. And again, it's not plus or minus because this is odd. All right, let's go over 2 more examples. We'll put one here and one next to it. So 6, I have x minus 2 to the 3 halves equals 8. Now, this whole side is being raised to the 3 halves power, so there's nothing for me to move right now since this whole side is being raised to that power. So I'm going to start off by doing to the 2/3 power. And I'm going to have x minus 2 equals 8 to the 2/3 power. Well, I'm really doing the cubed root of 8 squared. Well, the cubed root of 8 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. But remember, oh, never mind. Nope, it's not plus or minus. I was almost going to make my own mistake because, again, we have an odd root, so it's not plus or minus. So x minus 2 equals 4. I would add 2. X is going to equal 6. All right, let's do one more example. I can move it over here. So again, this whole thing is being raised to this 4/5 power, so I'm going to raise this whole side to the 5/4. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So on this side, I'm going to be left with 4x plus 8 equals. Now I'm going to have the 4th root of 16 to the 5th. So 4x plus 8 is going to equal, well, now I have an even root. So I have an even root. So I know my answer is going to include plus or minus. The 4th root of 16 is 2. 2 to the 5th is 32. So now that I have this plus or minus, I'm going to end up with 2 solutions. So I need to set up my 2 equations. So 4x plus 8 equals 32. And 4x plus 8 is going to equal negative 32. And then I'm going to finish solving each of these equations. So minus 8. Divided by 4. Minus 8. Divide by 4. And that'll give me my 2 solutions. All right, so let's put some steps up here in our notes so that we remember what we need to do. So our steps for solving are we want to isolate the term with the exponent. Raise each side to the reciprocal power. Don't forget that even roots are going to give us plus or minus answers. Then we're going to solve for the variable. Then we're going to check our answers. So we actually did not do the 4th step. But we can make sure we practice that on our practice day. All right, now that we've done a bunch together, let's try one on our own. So let's go on to the back where we have some space. And let's try this problem on our own. So we're going to do negative 10x minus 5 to the 2/3 power equals 25. Okay, so I want you guys to try this one on your own. Pause the video now and try this problem. When you're ready, play the video. All right, now that you've tried this problem on your own, again, we have this part alone, so we're going to raise this part to the reciprocal power. So we'll raise both sides to the 3/2 power. That's going to give me negative 10x minus 5 equals, well, the 2 is an even root, so remember I'm going to get plus or minus, but I'm going to have the square root of 25 to the 3rd power. So the square root of 25 gives me plus or minus 5 to the 3rd power is plus or minus 125. So I'm going to set up my two equations. So I would add 5 and divide by negative 10. Add 5 and divide by negative 10. And those would be our two solutions.